let's take a look at our top selections.
Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with one of 3 Grade 3 races on the Saturday card at Gulfstream Park, leading up to the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale in race number 10. Race number 9 is the Harlan's Holiday. It's for older horses. They're going to go 1 mile and a 16th on the main track. Field of 7 entered for this Harlan's Holiday. Let's take a look at that field right now. 2 favorites down towards the inside here. Number 1, Tax, returning off of a layoff for trainer Danny Gargan. This was one of the better 3-year-olds of 2019. It's had a very tough time getting a 2020 campaign going, Tax has. When he's right, he's a very good horse. We'll see what we get from him here as he returns from a layoff. Number 2, Fat Man, has had some issues of his own in 2020. Got really good for his trainer, Kent Sweezy, earlier this year. Missed a lot of time. He has had 1 start back down at Keeneland on Breeders' Cup weekend sprinting. It felt like they were maybe prepping him for a race like this in that spot at Keeneland. He is back now. When we last saw this horse, he was in very, very good form. They are your 2 favorites on the morning line. And then after that, you switch out to the far outside post. Number 4, Tatweed. It was a very expensive yearling purchase at the time for Shadwell Stable. They paid $2.5 million for this horse, turned him over to Todd Pletcher. He goes for different owners now. Listen, it just took him a very long time to get to the races, but he's won 3 races in a row. He's now going to step right up in class for Pletcher and see what he can do at the graded stakes level. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector to kick things off here, because the Timeform US Pace Projector gives the advantage to Tatweed, number 7. They have him out there on a clear early lead in this race. The blue bar indicates that they do not expect this race to be run at a very fast pace, and that would be to the advantage of number 7, Tatweed in here. We'll see if he can actually shake loose on the lead here and then take advantage of that kind of a scenario here. Personally, I didn't really feel like Tax, drawn down towards the inside, was going to let this horse just sort of walk on the lead. Tax should be fresh coming back from the layoff, and he is not a slow horse early. So we'll see what they do from the rail with Tax. But listen, I suppose if Tatweed gets loose on the early lead, he could make himself very, very dangerous in this race. He is going to have to improve to beat a field like this one. Let's start it off by talking about Tax, because in a lot of ways he is the horse to beat. He's got the credentials. Obviously, this is a horse who, again, was one of your better 3-year-old colts. He's a gelding, actually, 3-year-olds of the 2019 crop. He just really held his own. 4th in the Belmont Stakes, 2nd in the Wood Memorial. He won the Grade 3 Withers. As a 2-year-old, he was a good 3rd in the Remsen. He's just been a good horse for a while. Let's go back. I want to take a look at the last win from Tax. This is going all the way back to last summer, July of 2019 at Saratoga. This is the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. This is the last time Tax won a race. A really good performance, actually, from Tax in this race. He broke very alertly in this race. It was interesting, too, because he took a lot of money in this race, and he wound up going off at 9-2. Broke very alertly from the gate. He went forward in there. He kept right up on the pace. After letting War of Will, the Preakness winner, take over on the early lead, he just tracked that horse up the backstretch, came to challenge him around the 2nd turn. He just stayed very, very gamely through the stretch. But this is a very clever ride here from Irad Ortiz, because it felt like perhaps the rail was not a great place to be. So he kept this horse. Once he took over the lead, he kept him off the inside, and he made Tacitus try to come through on his inside. And ultimately, all those things sort of conspired to Tax being able to hold on there. Just a good performance, a 98 buyer speed figure. I thought he ran well in that race. Now, he hasn't won since then, but obviously things just, again, didn't go really well for him. It's only been 4 starts for him since that Jim Dandy back in July of 2019. The Travers, where he ran fine. He just wasn't quite good enough to get the job done that day. He ran a really good race in the Discovery, going 9 furlongs in November at Aqueduct. He was only 2nd best to performer, but he ran really, really well that day to be 2nd with a triple-digit buyer. And after that, the Pegasus World Cup, where he was a non-factor, missed a lot of time after that race, came back in May. And it's, sort of been his really only start so far as the 2020 campaign has gone on. The Grade 2 Oaklawn Handicap, where he showed speed from an outside post and got tired through the stretch. We'll see what we get from him off the layoff. The things to like about Tax in this race are, obviously, he has quality and he's got some speed from the inside, so it feels like he could get the right trip in this race. And his trainer, Danny Gargan, not only does he just do a good job overall, but he's on a pretty good run lately. 7 for his last 17 with his starters over about the last 30 days or so. So it feels like his horses are really live right now. And then you add in the fact that Gargan's he's been very, very good off of layoffs like this. 180 plus day layoffs in dirt routes. He's 5 for his last 14, 36%. That ROI is nearly $3. So he's getting these horses to perform off of layoffs like this. And if Tax comes back running in here, it just feels like maybe they found a really good spot for him to finally, maybe try and salvage something here with a graded stakes win at the very end of his 4-year-old campaign, and then maybe go on and have a better season in 2021. Number 2, Fat Man is your second choice on the morning line. Major player in this race. This is a horse who got really good when Kent Sweezy took over. Kent took over the training of this horse last summer, and after a few starts, he really got this horse good. And his coming out party was sort of, this race last year. They brought him down here for the Harlan's Holiday. He was let go at a very big price at 28-1, and he ran a very good race that day to be second best to War Story. I thought that was sort of the race that pointed Fat Man out as an improved horse for this trainer. He came back for his very next start in the Hooper, a grade 3 going a 1-turn mile. And he got the job done that day with a triple-digit buyer, a 101 buyer speed figure, winning the Hooper. Now, he got a great trip-in ride from Irad that day and took advantage a little bit, but he still ran well. And then he came back for his next start in the Gulfstream Park Mile, another grade 2, and he did not get a very good trip in that race, but he still ran well to be second with another new top figure up to 102. Unfortunately for Fat Man, he missed a ton of time after that. He did return on Breeders' Cup weekend at Keeneland. They sprinted him 7 furlongs. He ran fine, finishing 6th in that race. True Timber, who was second in that race, obviously came back and won the Grade 1 Cigar Mile last weekend. Fat Man gets a little more distance to work with here. He's second off the layoff now. He was in really good form during the last form cycle, and if he comes back and can take a step forward here, he's a major player in this race. He doesn't have the tactical speed that Tax has, and if this race is run at a slow pace, it could compromise Fat Man. But I like his form. I feel like Kent Sweezy's gotten this horse really good, and I'd be willing to give him another chance in this race to take a slight step forward here, and if he does, he could certainly go with a horse like Tax. Identifier is the 3. He's a horse who has that one big grade 3 upset win over this track back in March. That was going 9 furlongs in the Hell's Hope. He got a great setup that day, a wicked pace in front of him. He sat it out and he came running and he closed that thing down at 60-1 odds. He has not been as competitive since then. He's going to need a big pace to have his best chance here. It doesn't feel like he's going to get that. Eye of a Jedi is number 4. He's won 2 races in a row. He's earned the top 2 buyer speed figures of his career. He did beat a quality rival in Diamond Oops 2 starts back going a 1-turn mile. Now, Diamond Oops was off the layoff there, and it did feel like they were prepping him in that race. But still, Eye of the Jedi beat him on the square, and he came back and he won again. So this horse is in good form right now. He is stepping up in class. He's going to have to do better against this field, but he'll be a price. Number 6, Math Wizard, has the credentials, I think, to be a contender in here. He's another horse who probably wants some pace to run at, and he may not get it here, but just sort of an underrated 3-year-old. He started out in the claiming ranks. Safi Joseph took him, and he just kept taking steps forward after that. Second in the Ohio Derby, 3rd in the Indiana Derby, and then a couple of starts after that, he pulled off the upset in the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, 31-1 odds that day. He got a really good trip, and he closed that field down late with a 99 buyer. That's his last win. He hasn't won since then. We'll see what he does. He did earn a triple-digit buyer 3 starts back at Monmouth, going 9 furlongs, where he was second best to global campaign. I thought he ran fine in that race. I didn't think he ran great. His 2 starts since then have not been good. They have been against better horses. Maybe they found the right spot here as they cut him back a little bit in distance. They're also going to take the blinkers off. I don't know. I can't really buy into this horse. I'm not sure he's going to get the right trip in this race, but you know what? If he's going to be the 3rd or 4th choice in here, I won't argue with anybody who wants to take a shot with him. He does seem to like Gulfstream Park, and he goes for a trainer who can win races in bunches. Number 7, Tatweed, is 4-1 on the line. Again, we'll see what he does. They paid a lot of money for this horse. He did not make it to the races until halfway through his 4-year-old year, so obviously he's had issues along the way. But he's run well in his last 3 starts. He's won 3 races in a row. He has very good tactical speed. And as we already talked about with the pace projector, he could be on the early lead in this race. Maybe that would give him a real chance to win here. We'll take a look at his most recent race. This is an allowance race on a sloppy track right here at Gulfstream Park, 1-turn mile. He just got a really good trip in this race. He had speed from the start, but he was content to track in behind the pace setters early. Edgar Zayas took him to the outside and made an early move up to press those horses around the turn, and you can see through the stretch. He took it over. He was just driving clear to the end, never giving that field a chance to catch him at the end. Another slight new top. He just keeps improving from race to race. His Buyer speed figures are incrementally creeping forward. He will have to improve once again to beat this field. Maybe he can do it. I don't put anything past Pletcher. This horse has the pedigree, obviously, to turn out to be okay. We'll see if he improves enough in this race. I didn't want to bet him at 4-1, but maybe he'll take a step forward and beat this field. We'll put the picks up there now. I don't really have anything clever to say here. I'm taking the two favorites in here. I was undecided between Tax and Fat Man. Ultimately, I just sort of felt like Luis Saez having the rail with Tax would probably put his positional speed into play and give this horse a good trip. And I do think he's a good horse. I'd like to see Tax, come back here off with a layoff and maybe salvage something here with a graded stakes win at the tail end of his 4-year-old campaign, and then maybe he can go on and do some good things next year. So I'll take Tax on top. I went 1, 2, 4, and 5 in race number 9 at Gulfstream on Saturday. It's the Harlan's Holiday. The approximate post time is 4:09 Eastern Time. Good luck.